Hello, my name is Jordan Manaki, and this is my Reflecting Connect on the Robert Gillespie 2008 PDF article. Um, I don't know why, but the first thing that I thought when reading this is that when you put things like this to words, especially when it's a 7-page document. Yeah, it's a 7-page document. It makes it all seem like it's the easiest thing in the world. Like everything that he says in this article makes sense. These are things that, like, when I read about them and I talked about them, I could actively think back to good teachers that I've had, that do all of these things, and how it's helped me learn different things over the years, whether or not that was like music or science or math or something like that. And when it's written like this, it seems so simple. The rules to teaching and how to act, like the best fit, like the most effective teaching sequence. The teacher presents a task. 2, students attempt the task. 3, the teacher gives students specific positive feedback pertaining to the task. 3 simple easy steps to help your students learn. It seems so simple, yet it's so difficult. Um, it's it's not like you're. It's not so difficult that you can't do it. It's like easier said than done kind of thing. Um, because when I stand up in front of a group of my peers, or when I had the experience of being a camp counselor and I stood up in front of a group of these little tiny humans, it was so much different than how I like read about it. It's so much more intimidating, I guess is the best word for it, when you stand in front of people and attempt to teach them knowledge based off of knowledge that you have, because it's easier said than done. Um, but I liked a lot of the things that he said in this article, because I agree with a lot of the things that he says in this article, and how modeling and like nonverbal and limited verbal teaching are really great ways of teaching your students. So I'm the type of person who has to learn by messing up. I have to learn by doing and by getting it wrong, specifically getting it wrong with anything and everything. So when teachers take the time to model it for me, allow me to do it, like the space to do it in front of them, and mess up a couple of times, eventually the light bulb goes off, it clicks, and I learn it, which works a lot better than someone actively telling me what to do, me doing it wrong because I don't necessarily understand what they want from me, and then that going on for a long amount of time when it could just be nipped in the bud by modeling. And I haven't had the experience yet of working with kids teaching kids. Um, I've worked with kids, I haven't taught them instruments or string instruments, but I have worked with my mom because she really wants to learn violin. So I have tried to teach my mom, and I can say without a doubt that modeling does help, because if I show her what to do, she can mimic it to the best of her ability. I mean, we see it all the time with things that aren't teaching, like people who do accents. If I were to do a British accent, because I hear somebody doing it, then you slip into a British accent. It's because they're modeling it, and I want to mimic them to the best of my ability. It's a bad example, but it's an example. I love the fact that he included humor in this article, because I want my kids to remain entertained with me. I don't want to be a snooze fest. Not that I think I am a snooze fest, but we've all had that one teacher who, the way that they go about doing things is just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and not involve any humor, any relatable information, anything. It's just talking to hear themselves talk, and it really makes it difficult to learn, especially if you're someone who thinks like me, where you start talking and I'm like, okay, I'm paying attention. Ooh, there's a bird. Oh, look out that window, there's a tree. Like, the more you can keep your students engaged, and I feel like the more you can just change it up like that, like very quickly, helps a lot, especially with the attention span of this younger generation. I have the attention span of a gnat, and I'm sure that they have the attention span of like a banana. So changing things up for them so that they can remain focused. Rep selection. We talk about it a lot, but rep selection, making sure you're not over programming your kids, making sure you're not programming things that are too easy. I mean, the amount of times that I've just zoned out and didn't want to learn or work on anything because I was, thinking in my brain, wow, this is really simple. It's not interesting to me. I like a challenge. I know a lot of other students like a challenge, and giving them a challenge with their rep selection is a great way to keep them engaged, especially if you know how to teach it well. There was just a lot of great things in this article talking about teaching, and like I said, it just, the whole thing made me think it's easier said than done. It's one thing to tell me how to do it, because I know how to do it. I know the steps. I've learned about the steps. I've drilled the steps. I've repeated the steps in my head multiple times. But the act of doing the steps in front of people is something that's just experience. It always comes down to experience.